Welcome to the next video in this self-paced course where we will be looking at Discovery Education. You can find that on your ClassLinks page. When Discovery Ed loads, it may prompt you to log in as yourself, and you're going to get to your teacher landing page. Now, you should see all of these same buttons with the exception of the admin dashboard. So beginning with your My Classrooms. And to find already made activities and content in DE in general, we typically have people go to the search bar. That's where I have typically gone as a teacher. And as you can see, I have different items here that I'm searching for. So I'm just going to search for that first term, fractions. Maybe there's something I'm doing in math. That I would like to have some sort of activity ready for. So the first thing I can do in Discovery is I can just do a basic search. And from here you can see that we have some search parameters that we can select so that it's a little more specific for what we're looking for. So up here again is where I have my typed in my search term. I am going to narrow this down to grades 3 through 5 because that's what I'm looking for. And then as you see right across here, I have some options in terms of what type of media I'm looking for. So many times we know Discovery Ed for their video content, which is great, but it's way more than just videos. You can see here, if I click on interactives, this is going to narrow down my grades 3 through 5 fraction interactives. It tells me right over here I have 12 results, and these are different skill builder games and explorations. So I'm just going to click on this first one, which is considered an exploration. I saw that in the subtitle of the activity. You see it's going to give me a little preview, and this one happens to be from FET. So I see that I have some options here. I'm going to be able to view the content right here in the center. I can either do the lab or the game. I also see over here on the right hand side that I can build an activity from this simulation. I can share this with a colleague. I can also save it to my content, or I can assign it as is right from here. So I guess I would need to first view what this is all about. And as I see, as I scroll down, I can also get a brief explanation about what this is. This is an exploration where students are able to build equivalent fractions to match pictures. So again, I have the lab or the game. Um, it's prompting me to do the lab first, so that's probably what I would do. So I'm double clicking on that, and it's going to lead me to my little activity here where the students are dragging and dropping to create some equivalent fractions. So you see, as I have 2 wholes, it's equivalent to 4 halves, etc. I can also change out my pieces. I can change my numerator and denominator, and it's giving students that sort of hands-on play with this. So let's say I wanted to create this as just one piece of a whole lesson. And if I wanted to customize in general, I'm going to go here to build an activity. So what type of activity am I going to build today? It's giving me some options here. Slideshow is the only option I have. So it's already filling in my title for me. I could add a description if I wanted to. And if I wanted to also add a short answer question here, what did you learn about equivalent fractions? Going to the next button, and it's going to preview what my slides look like. So it's telling me that Discovery Education Studio is where I've created this, a space for us to learn. So a slideshow is going to have your content on one side with the question that you asked on the other, and I can continue editing this in the studio, which is a full editing board, or I can assign it to my class right here. This will assign it to my students in Discovery Education. So when I go to the assign button, you'll see it's going to prompt me to put in some information here. I can add the dates that I would like this to be available. And then it's going to ask me to select my class. And this is rostered right from PowerSchool. Again, when you assign within Discovery Education, it's going to show up for the students in Discovery Education. So when they log in, they're going to see your assignment there. And as you can see, once I select whichever class I want this to go to, it would be, of course, my math class, maybe this problem solving one. I'm then going to click the assign button and it would assign it to those students. But let's say again that I didn't want to assign it right away. I can always come back to this activity that I have created by going to my three dashes, that hamburger menu, and going to my studio under the tools subtitle. So anytime I create something from content in Discovery, it's either going to show up in my studio area or in my quizzes. And in this case, it was a slideshow, so it's showing up in Studio. So Studio is basically a place where teachers are able to take Discovery Ed content and add text boxes, images, kind of rearrange the order and do their general edits. So here it is, my slideshow on fractions equality. I'm simply clicking on it to get it into the full screen mode. And you see that what Discovery Education has done is it's put that exploration activity on one side along with the question that I posed on the other side. And now that I'm in Studio, you see I have a lot more editing options. So one of the things I can do is you see as I hover over this question box, I'm getting my four-headed arrow, which means that I can drag that up and down. I can also copy this short answer and paste it. So maybe I want two questions. I'm copying that to the clipboard and then I'm going to paste from the clipboard. You notice that the way I had to do that is I had to go to the plus sign, and it's my first option here, paste from clipboard. You see that it's pasted that same exact question. I'm going to add this one, this question box down here, and I'm going to say, what is equivalent to two holes? So that's a place where that they can answer that question. You'll also see under that plus sign, I have the ability to add additional content from Discovery Education. And I can do that by searching Discovery Ed right from within my studio board. So maybe I want to show a video on fractions. I could find a video I liked and add it in by simply selecting it. I can also add material from another device, or if I have already saved it in Discovery Ed onto my quick list, I can get information from there as well. I also have the ability to add text boxes. As you see, it added that text box right in the middle. And once I have that text box here, I can move it around, change the font, the size, the color, things like that. I can also delete it if I decide I don't want that text box. I also have the ability to add what we call a button. So this button is going to link to other things. So as you see, I have the link here. This can link to, again, another Discovery Education video. It could link to something else that I have created in a different application. So I can link to a URL to a different slide, since this is part of a slideshow, or a new window. So this is a very nice option if you wanted to make this a complete project. Underneath of quiz items, we've already added two short answer questions here, but this is the spot where I would add any additional quiz items I wanted to. So maybe I wanted a multiple choice question. As you see, when I click on that, it's going to add it right to my slide. This is going to maybe be a chance for me to rearrange what I'm seeing here on the screen. Or maybe I decide, you know what, I don't really want them to tell me the equivalent. I want them to just answer it multiple choice so it's easier for me to look at in terms of grading. So I'm going to delete that one and move this down. And as you see, it extends the page. I can also extend the page this way and add in all of the details that I want to add. Here at the top, slide one, you can see is right here. That's the one I'm working on, but I can also add additional slides. And when I click on add slides, you'll notice that I have a couple of different formats. The one that we're doing right now is a resource with some text. So if you like that format and want to do a second slide like that, you can. Maybe you just want a resource slide that has some video tutorials that go along with this lesson for some differentiation, or for even extension for those who finish early. Perhaps you just want some areas that you can do some text here, or maybe add some word problems that you want them to do in their journal, for example. So that's the way you would add slides. And from there, you would have the same editing menu as you did beforehand. So this is Studio. And again, we just did a search and we found an interactive that we then created into a full lesson. So that's one way that you can find and customize activities. I'm coming back to the Discovery Education Big D, which will bring us back to our homepage as teachers. So what we just did is we just searched fractions again in that search bar. I narrowed it down by grade level here at the top. You notice that you can also narrow down over here on the left by language, copyright, and publisher. We went to interactives, which, as you saw, were already made activities and games, but there's also the button called activities. So I'm going to click on activities. In this case, I only have three results for fractions. So interactives were those games that were isolated on their own. I had to create an activity to go along with it. But activities, the button, is going to give us some pre-curated lesson activities. So you see I have this one, which is called a studio quiz. I have another studio quiz, and then I have something called the studio board. So I'm going to click on studio quiz so you can see how this is a ready to go activity and what this one looks like. So you should kind of feel a little familiar here because we're in our studio again. You notice it says studio up here at the top, but we're not seeing our editing tools. And that's because right now we're just viewing content that's been already created. This one is telling us it's from grade 5. I'm going to scroll down to see what it involves here. Seems like we're doing adding and subtracting fractions. So this has already been curated by Discovery Ed. They have added one of their videos here on the left, as well as some text for students to read on the right. And then as I scroll down, I see that they have included three multiple choice problems that involve polar bears and fractions. And so if I continue down even further, they've also included some helpful hints, which are actually video tutorials that go over how to add and subtract fractions. And then at the very bottom, I'm scrolling to the very bottom, they have sort of like a bonus to learn more about polar bears, and it is linked to the entire Discovery Ed channel about polar bears. And a channel is just a collection of all the videos that have to do with polar bears. So I may love this lesson exactly as it is. And if that's the case, that's great. Maybe I want to assign it right here in Discovery Ed. However, I might not love it as it is, and maybe there's something I want to change, even if it's just changing the grade level because I'm not using it with fifth grade. Or maybe there's something that I want to change, a typo or some text I want to get rid of. Or maybe I want to alter the word problems. And in that case, I would need to make a copy of this for myself. So I'm going to the copy button. It says, do you want to copy the board to your studio dashboard? And we do because we're viewing in studio, but we haven't been able to make any edits. When I make a copy of it, it's going to give me those editing rights. So you see, it pretty much looks the same. I'm still in studio, except for now I have on the left-hand side my three editing buttons. So if I go to that plus sign, you're going to see it looks the same as what we just reviewed earlier, that I have the ability to add text boxes, buttons to link things. I can also add material from DE or from my device. That could be different pictures or videos. I can also add different types of quiz item questions. I also have the ability to customize my backgrounds um, and some of my images here. So as you can see, my theme is the default theme, but I could change that to a different theme. As you see, as I click on themes, it's changing the backgrounds and some of my button colors as I go through here. I like to sometimes change that theme through this customization button because then I can kind of differentiate from the one that I've customized versus the one that's already in the DE library. I can also just change the background here to one that I like, maybe a pattern or an image. So I'm going to stick with this. The last button I can do over here is the teacher notes. And so I can use this plus sign to add notes for myself or to add additional content. If I wanted to scroll down and change something, I'm fully in edit mode. So now when I click on text, I can fully edit and change whatever I want. So um, maybe I just want to say with layers of fur, I can change and get rid of something altogether. Um, Maybe I don't want them to watch this video just yet, so I could change those directions. Whatever you want to do, you can change here. I could even delete this video altogether using this delete button, and I could exchange it out for new content if I wanted to. Again, as I scroll down, you see that now those questions have the ability to be edited. So maybe I only want to have two options for them to choose from rather than three. And same for this one. I can also scroll down and change some of those reference links if I want to. Again, at the top, I have the drop down where I could add additional pages to this studio board, but that's how I would customize. From here, if I wanted to, I could share it with a colleague by copying that link or sending them an email. I can also use my three dots here to assign it. Um, to my students within Discovery Education. I can also assign it in Brightspace, and you'll learn about that later on in the course. So, coming back to Discovery Education, our main landing page, we have explored using the search bar how we can find some ready made activities by filtering down by interactives and activities. I want to draw your attention to the buttons down here on your teacher landing page. So, my classroom is going to go ahead and take you right to your courses with your classes with all your kids in them. Your content is anything that you've saved to your filing cabinet within Discovery Ed. And then we have the three greenish gray buttons here: Quiz, Studio, and Assessment Builder. Studio should sound familiar because that's where we've been working the past few minutes in this video. When you click into Studio, this is where you're going to see all of the boards that you have made a copy of, or you can create a brand new one right here using the Create New button. But in terms of this course, we're looking for ready to go materials. So as long as you use that search and you found something you'd like, you would make a copy and it would fall right here in your studio. You also have the quiz button. Now, Discovery Education has the ability for you to take any of their content and that is a video and make it into an interactive quiz. Now, you'll see it's opening up to the My Quizzes page. And I have a few video quizzes and a few standard quizzes in my library. But underneath of my quizzes, and yours may be blank if you never use that, there is the quiz library tab. And when I click on quiz library, you're going to see that I have over 500 quizzes that I can search from that again are already done or at least a start for me to customize. So again, I'm able to filter down by grade level. I'm going to search K to 2 for this purpose. At the top here, you're going to see that gives me 92 results, that there are 10 that are being featured right now. So I could click on this and I could see what are those 10 that are being featured. Usually it has something to do with the holiday or the month. The top 20 of all time can show up here. And then you see that out of those 92, 51 are video quizzes and 41 are standard quizzes. So Discovery Education video quizzes is a new feature. They used to have quizzes that were based on content, but they weren't directly connected with the video. Video quiz is going to have it so that the questions pop up as the students watch their video. So you'll see here an example of a standard quiz. This one is called Weekend Emoji. When you click on it, you'll get the preview. This is literally just the students answering three questions. This one happens to be a Monday morning meeting type of questionnaire. And view this as a student so you can see what this looks like. It says welcome. They're going to start their quiz. And you see they get to actually annotate right here. This is an annotation question. So they're going to choose what emotion they're feeling, submit their answer. They're then going to go to the next question after they see their answer here. Why did you choose that? I'm happy today. They're going to submit their answer, see it, and then go to the next question. What are you looking forward to this week? Maybe it's spelling. And submitting their answers. They can review them all before they submit and they can go back to their quiz library. Now, let's say that you like that as something to use with your students. So instead of viewing as the student, you're going to go to Add to My Quizzes. This is the same thing that you would do if you were doing a video quiz. So it's just added it to the My Quizzes section. I'm going to close out of this and I'm going to show you a video quiz so you can see the difference. So in the video quiz, you'll notice that there is the video content that comes up. I'm going to view this as a student so you can see what it would look like. And this is how I like to always look at my videos, quizzes, and anything I do in Discovery so that I can see the student view. So you can see along the side here, I have three questions. I also have the full video in the middle, and the questions are popping up here on the side. And the first question in this particular video is a pre-reading question. It says, do you enjoy reading? I'm going to say yes and submit my answer and continue on. And it's I know it's a pre-reading question because everywhere I see a dot on this timeline is where a question has been added. So the beginning question was before the video even started. Now the students are going to listen to the video, which is a book rent, and they're going to continue watching until they get to this point here. And that's when question 2 pops up. And it's going to pop up on the side when they get to that point, and it's going to pause the video. It's going to ask the students a question related to the content. It's also giving a point value in this case. I'm going to continue watching the video. Again, there's a third question. How does the story end? If they've been paying attention, they're going to be able to answer that and submit their answer. Let's say I really like this activity, but I want to add some additional questions, or I want to change something. Instead of assigning it, which would assign it right to them in Discovery, I'm going to add again to my quizzes. So now I've just added 2 quizzes to my quiz library that are already made. I'm now going to go back to the My Quizzes tab because those 2 activities should be here in my Quizzes, and I see them right here. I'm ready to do some actions with this, so I'm going to click on the 3 dots and I'm going to go to edit. And I'm first going to edit this mitten video that we just watched. As you see, it's taking me again into an editing mode, similar to the way it was in Studio. I can change the questions that are already here. I can delete the answers or add new choices. I can also, over here on the left, add new questions. And I can even change the title right up here with a little pencil. When I'm done, I'm going to save and close at the top, and it's going to take me back to my quiz area. It's the same exact thing with the non-video quizzes. It's just going to bring me to a more simplified editor without the video type, and I can add new questions here as I wish, or I can edit the questions that are already there. In the Studio board, in Studio, I want to show you one other thing that I think is kind of exciting. When we go to create new, you'll notice it's not just a new board or slideshow, which we've worked on already. There's also this first option, which is called activity templates. And although this is not 100% ready to use, it is a great launching point. So these activity templates are based on the SOS instructional strategies, which are teacher strategies that have been picked based on skill set. So it tells you right here the steps. You're going to pick one of these strategy templates and add the content from DE, and then you share it with students. So it's really simple and basically ready to go for you. This would be a great thing to do if you already had a video from your curriculum, but you just wanted to do something extra with it. So maybe, for example, you wanted to have your students work on multiple perspectives. So you would click on this and you get a preview. You're going to see what the activity is going to look like. So this template is all completely done by Discovery. You would be able to put in your title. The directions are here where they choose a person from whatever media they've watched and imagine how they might have thought of that content, which is their perspective. And then in the space below, they have an area where they are to write a letter or journal entry from that person's perspective. So if you like this activity and it's all ready to go for you, you would simply click on build this activity. It would take you into your editing mode in Studio Board. It does open you up to the teacher notes. Again, now we can edit everything that's on here, change the background as we did earlier. And this blank area with the plus sign is where you're going to be able to search for the content that you want to use from within Discovery Ed, or from any of the files that you have on your computer. So the last place I want to take you on the teacher dashboard is the Explore button. It's going to take you to the Let's Explore with DE. And these top 3 buttons are sort of the things we've already looked at today. So we talked about quizzes and the interactives that they have, but this is another spot for you to search within all of the quizzes and with all of the interactives that that Discovery Ed offers. You also have this blue button, ready to use activities. So when we click here, we're going to find curated collection of engaging activities that aren't just videos. So the thing that I like is that it's again sorted by grade level. There's also this button called prior activity calendars. So Discovery every month puts together instructional activity calendars, and you can see here that it's for every month of the year, and in parentheses it does have grade levels, so K to 2, 3 through 5, are the targets, but you can certainly use this for every grade level with some modifications. And so let's click on the December calendar. You're going to get a view of what it looks like. You literally have an activity to do every single day of the month and every single day of the year. So as you see here, we are now in view mode. We see because we do not have our editing tools, but you'll notice how it has December, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And in this particular year, every date is here. It gives you an activity for each day of the year. So it could be a math activity. This one's on climate. It usually pairs with something that's happening in that month in terms of holidays and things like that. For example, New Year's, Kwanzaa lessons. And when you click on these, it then launches you into Studio, so you can assign that entire calendar to your students or edit it, but you can also just take some of the ideas that are on the calendar and sprinkle them within your instruction. This happens to be a slideshow about Kwanzaa. Look, it's already prepared where they use two facts, a clue, and four images to see what they're learning about. It tells them how they're going to organize their thinking using the Z chart. It then gives them three different pieces of media to explore, and there's a show what you know and some math activities that go along with it. You can also see that each one of these has some guiding questions. So you could certainly do this whole group or assign it to your students either in Discovery Ed or in Brightspace. Once again, we have that copy button where we can make it our own, copy and continue. And this would make a copy of just this assignment. We'll get our full editing rights here where we can delete slides or change content. Now I'm going back to that tab where we have our entire month. I also have the ability to copy this calendar and change it if I wanted to use the entire calendar in full. So if you're not looking for K to 5 content from the calendars, you do also have these different grade level bands for ready to go activities. And so I'm going to click on 6 through 8, and you're going to see that as it's set up, it has the featured activities. So featured activities are usually what's going on in that particular month. We happen to be in April right now as I'm recording this. So this is Earth month, and there's a ton of stuff here on Earth Day, as well as some things that have to do with the end of the school year, such as thinking about careers. This happens to be a current event activities, and then it's separated by content area. So science, social studies, math, health, English language arts. And you'll notice that on every single one of these, it says that it's an activity. And underneath of that, you can tell, is it a quiz? Is it a video quiz? Is it a slideshow? Is it a board? And so in each one of these, you're going to be able to click on it, get a preview. And then, of course, if you would like to make changes, make your own copy so you have the editing rights within Studio. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, you can assign anything to your students within the Discovery platform, but you can also assign it in Brightspace. And that is what you will see coming up in the next portion of this self-paced class. Thanks for listening.